I'm Willie. Standing at the kitchen sink days after New Year's, I'm rinsing the last of the dessert trays from our Christmas dinner. Outside the window, my daughter Luna and two of the younger cousins are building a lopsided snowman, laughing so hard they can barely pack the snow straight. That sound, that laughter, is everything. It's a far cry from the pain and heartache we endured not too long ago. My family has always been big on traditions. My sister, Vivian, is the type who loves to plan and organize, turning every family event into a grand spectacle. Christmas, in particular, has always been her thing. She'd deck out her house with a huge tree, carefully curated matching pajamas, themed dinner menus, and choreographed photo ops. It was like stepping into a holiday movie set. Luna is 17, a sweet and intelligent girl with a kind heart. She adores Vivian, seeing her as a glamorous older sister rather than just an aunt. They'd have movie nights, late-night phone calls, and even matching necklaces. So, when Vivian called to tell me she was getting married, I was genuinely overjoyed. "Willie," he proposed. Vivian squealed over the phone, her voice filled with happiness. Despite our differences and disagreements over the years, I meant it when I said, "I'm so happy for you, Vivian." I remember looking over at Luna, who was sitting at the kitchen island, dunking a cookie into her tea while doing homework. "Aunt Vivian's getting married," I told her with a grin. Her eyes lit up immediately. "Do I get to be a bridesmaid?" she asked, nearly dropping her cookie in excitement. I laughed. "Maybe. We'll find out." A few days later, Vivian invited me over for lunch to discuss the wedding plans. I showed up with a small bottle of champagne and a heart full of excitement. We laughed and planned. She showed me her Pinterest board and swatches of pastel-colored bridesmaid dresses. "Everything's going to be perfect," she said, her eyes dreamy. Then, she cleared her throat. "There's just one thing, Willie. I wanted to talk to you before the invites go out." "Sure," I said, sipping my tea. "I've decided to keep the guest list pretty adult. You know, grown-up vibes, cocktails, music, that kind of thing. So, I hope you're okay with Luna not being invited." I blinked. "Wait, you're not inviting Luna?" "It's nothing personal," she said quickly, her smile tightening. "I just think 17 is a little too young for the kind of wedding I'm envisioning." I felt my jaw clench. "But, she's family. She loves you." She was so excited. "Willie," she interrupted, placing her hand over mine in a patronizing way. "I need you to respect this decision. It's my day." My stomach dropped. All I could picture was Luna's face. How her eyes would fall when I told her. How she'd try to pretend it didn't bother her. I looked Vivian straight in the eyes and said calmly, "If my daughter isn't welcome, then we won't be coming." She blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, well, that's your choice." I stood up, setting my tea down. "It is." And just like that, I walked out, my heart pounding, my mind racing. It wasn't rage I felt, but a quiet, deep ache that I couldn't explain yet. When I got home, I tried to keep my composure. Luna could always read me like a book. "Mom, is everything okay?" she asked, setting down her headphones. I sat beside her on the couch and gently took her hand. "Sweetheart, Aunt Vivian doesn't want anyone under 18 at the wedding. She said it's going to be an adult-only event." She stared at me for a moment. "Oh," she said softly. "Okay. That's fine." She smiled, but it was forced. I saw the way her fingers curled into her hoodie sleeves. I knew my daughter. That wasn't fine. It was heartbreak disguised as indifference. "You're not upset?" I asked. She shrugged. "It's her wedding. She can do what she wants." But later that night, when I walked past her room, I heard her voice low and cracked as she FaceTimed her best friend. She didn't even say it to me, you know? My own aunt. There was silence, then a broken laugh. "I thought I'd be in her pictures." I was even going to buy those silver heels we saw. I closed the door quietly and sat in the hallway, my heart aching. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about a 17-year-old girl realizing that love isn't always returned the way you give it. The next day, I called my mom to talk about it. "I'm just really hurt," I said. "Luna's crushed. I don't understand how Vivian could think this was okay." My mother sighed. "Willie, it's her big day. Don't make a scene over this." "I'm not making a scene," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I just think she's trying to have a sophisticated, grown-up wedding," she interrupted. "You should support her, not make her feel guilty." Support her? I was expected to clap from the sidelines while my daughter was tossed aside like she didn't matter. I tried my brother, Jake, next. He had the same reaction. "Come on, Willie. It's just one day. Luna will survive." But that was the problem. No one was thinking about how it felt to be the only family member excluded, not because she misbehaved or couldn't make it, but because she didn't fit some arbitrary grown-up vibe. I wasn't asking for much, just a little compassion. But instead, I became the difficult one, the one who was overreacting and making it about myself. I even got a text from one of my aunts. "You always have to stir the pot. Can't you let Vivian enjoy her moment?" Meanwhile, Luna became quiet. She stayed off social media, stopped FaceTiming Vivian. Her energy had shifted. She began to shrink into herself like a flower wilting away from the sun. The wedding day came like a storm we saw brewing from miles away, but we still weren't prepared for it. Luna and I stayed home. Just the two of us, curled up on the couch with a bowl of popcorn and a movie neither of us paid attention to. Outside, it was just another sunny Saturday, but inside our little house, there was a weight in the air, like something sacred had been broken. Then the notifications started. My phone buzzed every few minutes with tagged photos, family group chats, and endless updates. There were pictures of Vivian in her sparkling white dress, my mom in a lavender gown, Jake with his arms around his wife, along with hashtags like #VivianEverAfter and #FamilyForever. The irony hit me like a punch. "Do you want to see them?" I asked Luna gently. She didn't answer, just shook her head and tucked her knees tighter to her chest. She'd barely touched her popcorn. I glanced at the screen again. Photo after photo of my family laughing, toasting, dancing under fairy lights. A whole universe that Luna and I had been quietly cut out of. One photo made me stop cold. It was of all the nieces and nephews gathered together holding sparklers with the caption, "The Next Generation." All except Luna. She had literally been erased. That night, Luna didn't say much. She just went to her room early, claiming she had a headache. I waited a few minutes, then walked up quietly to check on her. Her door was open just enough for me to see her curled under the blanket, headphones in, her phone screen glowing as tears rolled down her cheeks. I backed away, heartbroken, and sat on the stairs clenching my fists. After that, I noticed Luna starting to pull away. Not dramatically, just subtle things. She stopped calling her cousins, ignored texts, deleted her Instagram. I saw the light in her dim just a little more each day. I wanted to scream at Vivian, at my mother, at the whole damn family. Instead, I sat with Luna, trying to find ways to bring her back to herself. "You know this doesn't mean anything about your worth, right?" I told her one night, holding her hand across the kitchen table. "Their choice says everything about them, not you." She nodded, but her eyes didn't quite believe me. I decided to step back. It started with our weekly brunch tradition with my mom and aunts, filled with passive-aggressive compliments and forced laughter. I canceled. "No excuse, just won't make it today." Then another Sunday came and went, and another. Eventually, the texts slowed, then stopped. I left the family group chat quietly, not in a blaze of drama, but like a door that closes gently and doesn't reopen. I gave all my energy to Luna. I started planning little Saturday adventures, just the two of us. We went to farmers' markets, art museums, coffee shops with poetry readings. Sometimes we didn't even do anything special. We just lay under blankets, binge watching mystery shows, and that felt more honest than any family gathering ever had. Still, the texts came from time to time. You've been distant lately. People have asked about you. You and Luna should come by. It wasn't personal. But it was personal. Maybe not to them, but definitely to my daughter. And that made it personal to me. I responded with polite but firm boundaries. No blame, no bitterness, just space. Christmas rolled around. Vivian sent out the group message, Christmas dinner at ours. Same time, same sparkle. Can't wait to see everyone. I replied simply, thanks, but Luna and I already have plans. No drama. No explanation. Just a calm boundary. She didn't reply. Neither did anyone else. But I saw the read receipts, and that was enough. I'd been planning this Christmas since the night of Vivian's wedding. I didn't want to spend another holiday being a prop in someone else's perfect picture. I wanted something real, something warm, something Luna would actually feel, not just pose for. So we stayed home and made our own magic. I let Luna plan the day however she wanted. We baked cookies from scratch, the kitchen turning into a beautiful mess of flour and laughter. We made hot cocoa with real whipped cream and cinnamon sticks. No rules, no schedules, no pretending. Then we curled up in our living room where I'd strung up fairy lights and lit cinnamon-scented candles. The tree was small, but every ornament told a story, little pieces of us. Not matching, not perfect, but ours. Do you miss being there? I asked her softly as we sat beneath the lights, gifts still unopened under the tree. She shook her head, her eyes calm. Not even a little. And I believed her. But I still had one surprise left. While Luna played music and danced around in her socks, I brought out a box I'd been keeping hidden in my closet for weeks. Inside was a simple hardcover scrapbook. I handed it to her, and she flipped it open with a puzzled smile. The first page was a picture of us from last Christmas, laughing with cookie dough on our noses. The next pages were filled with photos of our adventures over the past year. Quiet breakfasts, weekend art walks, silly selfies in mismatched pajamas. And on the final page, there was a note. You are not too young. You're not too small. You are not someone to be left out. You are everything. And no party, no photo, no event will ever define your worth. I see you. I love you. Always. She didn't cry. She just hugged me hard and whispered, "This is the best Christmas I've ever had." Just when I thought the day couldn't get better, the texts started rolling in. You're really not coming? You sure Luna doesn't want to open gifts with her cousins? Even Vivian messaged, "It's not the same without you." I smiled at my phone and placed it face down on the table. This year, we didn't need to be anywhere we weren't wanted. I'd reached out to a few people who, like us, had often been left out or overlooked by the louder voices in the family. My cousin Iris, whose kids never got much attention because they weren't picture perfect. Uncle Leo, who had long since stopped coming to family events after Vivian started treating him like furniture. Even sweet Aunt Grace, who always brought gifts but never got one in return. They all came, shy at first, unsure why they'd been invited. I smiled as I welcomed each of them at the door. You matter, and you deserve a Christmas where that's felt. We filled my small home with laughter, warmth, and dishes brought from each person's kitchen. Nothing matched. Nothing was coordinated, but everything was real. Luna was glowing, surrounded by other kids who weren't judged or silenced. They played board games on the living room floor, decorated cookies with messy joy, and sang songs that didn't need auto-tune or applause. At one point, Aunt Grace leaned in and whispered, "This is what it used to feel like long ago, before all the performance." I snapped a photo then, her smile, the crinkles around her eyes, the plate of cookies in her lap, and posted it on my private social media with a caption that simply read, "A different kind of Christmas. The kind that feels like home." The pictures began to ripple through the grapevine. People started sharing them, commenting things like, "Wish we were there," and "Looks like you all had so much fun." I saw screenshots floating into the family group chat I'd left. Apparently, the contrast was striking. Their matching pajamas and picture-perfect backdrop looked sterile next to our chaos-filled, heartwarming evening. Vivian's photos had the polish. Mine had the soul. Slowly, the silence broke. I got a text from a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years. "You reminded me what holidays are supposed to be. Mind if we join next year?" Another message from someone I barely knew but had seen at family weddings. "I always felt like I didn't belong. Your post made me cry. Thank you for that." Even my own brother, Jake, messaged, "Your dinner looked amazing." Vivian was kind of tense all evening. I was sure she noticed. 2 days after Christmas, she called me. Her voice was sharp, coated in sugar but laced with fury. "So, what exactly was that little Christmas stunt about?" I stayed calm. It wasn't a stunt. It was Christmas with people who've been left out one too many times. "You're dividing the family, Willie," she hissed. "Do you know how many people were talking about you? Sharing your photos like you're some kind of saint." "I didn't divide the family, Vivian," I replied. "I just stopped pretending it wasn't already broken." That's when she lost it. "You're bitter because Luna didn't get invited to the wedding. That's what this is really about. You're twisting everything and making me look like a villain." "I don't need to make you look like anything, Vivian. People see what they see. Maybe it's time you asked why." She hung up, but the silence didn't follow. Once that phone call ended, the real unraveling began. Group chats exploded. My cousin Iris finally said it out loud, "Remember when Vivian made fun of my daughter's acne during that reunion? And everyone laughed?" She cried the whole way home. Aunt Grace added, "I haven't had a Christmas gift with my name on it in 12 years. Even Jake, the golden boy of the family, confessed she uninvited my wife from the anniversary party because her outfit didn't fit the vibe. I never said anything, but it always hurt. More messages poured in. People remembering times they'd been overlooked, excluded, made to feel small, all for not fitting Vivian's image of perfection. And suddenly, the family's golden girl wasn't so golden anymore. Vivian tried to salvage it. She posted a long, syrupy caption on Instagram with a slideshow of her Christmas dinner. "Family is everything. Grateful for another perfect holiday surrounded by love." But the comments told a different story. "I guess not all the family was there, huh? Real love doesn't exclude. Wish I'd been at Willie's house instead." Her mask was cracking, and for once, no amount of forced smiles or pastel filters could hold it together. She tried messaging relatives privately, spinning her version of events, but too many people had seen the truth now. My parents, who had always blindly backed Vivian, called me that evening. At first, they tried to guilt me. "You didn't even show up. You could have caused a real scene if you had." But I could hear the unease in their voices. I wasn't the problem anymore. The problem was how long they'd ignored the actual one. And now, the entire family knew it. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just said, maybe this Christmas was exactly what needed to happen. They didn't know how to respond because the truth was finally louder than their excuses. And I'd quietly pulled the thread, and the whole tapestry of pretense had come undone. As I dry my hands and look back out at Luna, she catches me watching and waves. Her cheeks pink with cold, eyes full of life again. That wave, that smile, that's my closure. That's my quiet victory. And it's enough.